Hello everyone, GM. Welcome back to another episode of Overpriced JPEGs. It is time for your Friday recap, and joining me today is the one and only Zeneca for another moment of Zeneca. Hey man.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's midnight here. I'm in Thailand at the moment.
You look like you just woke up from sleep. Anybody who's not on the YouTube, I hopped on. I was like, Zeneca, what have I done to you that I'm pulling you from bed?
I had a 20-minute power nap before this, so I literally did just wake up. But
thank you so much for joining us. Your commitment to your community, to the Overpriced JPEGs community, we are grateful.
I'm happy.
We got a good show. I'm gonna actually talk to Casey Reas. You said it's Reas, not Reas?
I think it is.
We're going to find out from him directly. Great generative artist. He's had his work featured at LACMA, I believe, the gallery in LA. He's got a collaboration happening with Art Blocks and Bright Moments. We're going to talk all about that with him at the end of the show. Otherwise, we're going to talk about some of the news of the day. We got Yuga news. We got DeGods season 3 coming. We're going to talk a little bit more about Worldcoin because, Zeneca, we got to get your thoughts on it, and there's been some scandal. And then we got to talk CryptoDickbutts, the one and only. But before we get into all that good stuff, we do need to hear a word from our lovely, lovely sponsors who make this show possible. Y'all know the phrase, not your keys, not your crypto. Well, in a world where too many people have had to learn that the hard way, Overpriced JPEGs is proud to partner with Ledger, the world leader in critical digital asset security. Ledger's Nano S Plus and Nano X hardware wallets, paired with the Ledger Live app, Ledger's own software for setting up your Nano device and managing your crypto assets, is the easiest way to start your crypto journey while maintaining full control of your digital assets. You can use all your favorite dApps with Ledger Live, accessing 15 plus Web3 apps, including 1inch, Paraswap, Lido, and Zerion. So you can not only manage, but also grow your portfolio. And Ledger Live is available on mobile and desktop. Securing digital assets shouldn't be complicated. Ledger is as easy as it gets. Uncompromising security, effortless connectivity, full transparency, Ledger is your one-stop shop to trade and track crypto, grow your assets, and manage NFTs. Secure your future with Ledger. Visit shop.ledger.com today or check out the link in the show notes. I am so excited to announce that this year, Overpriced JPEGs has partnered with OPENSEA, the world's leading NFT marketplace, built for everyone, creators, collectors, noobs, and experts alike. I'm an OpenSea user because they have the best selection of NFTs and a truly inclusive view of the ecosystem, supporting 8 chains and 8 global languages. I trust the systems they've put in place to keep the space safe, like copyright protection, malicious URL detection and removal, robust verification, and more. It's why they are the place to buy, sell, and create NFTs. That's right. You know OpenSea, you use OpenSea, but did you know that OpenSea now has drops? New exclusive projects launch every week from top projects and creators, and you can check them out now using the link in the show notes. They also recently introduced self-serve drops, which is in beta, and allows creators to launch their projects right on OpenSea. This drops product gives creators access to tools like rich storytelling drop pages, multi-chain support, and drop mechanic customization. The full launch for self-serve drops is coming this spring. So check out the upcoming drops on OpenSea right now using the link in the show notes and own what moves you. You'll also be supporting the show in the process. All right, Zen, we're back. Here's where I actually want to start. We're getting Zen Academy PFPs this month.
We are. Thank you for asking and bringing that up. It's been a long time coming. We initially said Q1 this year, and we had a change of artists and direction, and things happened. So it's taken longer than we planned. But I'm so excited to get these out in the wild. Finally, it's I've spoken about it on the show before. Why are we doing a PFP, especially in this market? And we've built a community. We've been building a community for 2 years, and now we're giving that community a PFP. And I think it's sort of like a reversal of what most projects do, where they try and launch a PFP and then try and build a community, or they launch a PFP and then launch more PFPs to that community. I think our approach is just a little more, I don't know if organic is the right word, but I just feel really good about it.
That's the word I was thinking. I think you've done an exceptional job. You have such an amazing community who are so committed to you. There's a real ethos that bonds them. Truly, I think above any community maybe in the space, you really have such an organic, authentic one of people who are in it because they want to be in it with each other, not because they're just trying to speculate on a price of something or flex something in a super superficial way. So I think it's
that.
awesome. And you already had that identification via the
crystal ball.
The crystal ball on Twitter. So
Yeah.
this will just be the next level of it. Okay. I am so embarrassed to admit that, like, remind me, because we went from you're from Zen Chest. Zen Chest will turn into your PFPs, but
That's
I'm afraid
correct,
I'm screwing up something here.
No, you're right. It's definitely a little confusing, but we had original letters that we minted in November 2021, 0.033 ETH. You could burn those for a Zen Chest, and you can treat the Zen Chest as like a manual reveal box, like CloneX Vial, Renga box, Azuki Elemental thing, although maybe we don't want to associate too closely with those. Although their art is amazing, so like I love these elementals. But yeah, basically, almost certainly later this month. I'm very reluctant to say dates. Just haven't been burned so many times before, as I know that you know as well.
I know. Like, we both promised things not promised, but like said things were coming in Q1, and it's August, and we're like, it's happening this month, guys.
Yeah, it's very, very likely without 100% committing. But yeah, you'll be able to burn your Zen Chest, reveal your PFP, and the art is amazing. Actually, I met the artist. We have this, the head artist, Pondering, is from Thailand. And so I'm in Thailand, in Bangkok last week. I was there and I met him. He traveled like 2 hours from his hometown to come meet me. His English isn't great, so he brought like a close friend of his who was like helping translate. It was such like a heartfelt meeting, and yeah, it was wonderful. He actually drew me like a poster as well. That was like, it was all just such a wonderful moment of, to me, what makes Web3 great. Again, just like finding an artist from the other side of the world who doesn't speak the same language, and then working together on a project and creating something magical that I'm so excited to get out soon.
That's amazing. Another question I'm embarrassed I don't know the answer to. Can folks, I know, I thought that the burning of the chests was going to wrap at some point, but is it still, not burning of the chest, burning of the letter to get the chest? Is that still open since there were other delays?
It's still open. The plan has always been to keep it open forever.
Okay.
A lot of people say that I should close it and cut supply and do a public mint and raise funds, and maybe that was the smart thing to do, but it feels icky to have people who minted a thing and then they don't get it because they weren't paying attention to a Discord announcement in a bear market or something like that. So it'll be open forever.
Okay. Because you're honorable. I love it. Well, I'm so excited to see this artwork. And, it's interesting because obviously, like, neither of us are like proud of delays, but right. I do think that something that Sam NFT Stats has said a number of times, and I think Frank sort of alluded to with the many delays of season 3, is so much better to delay it to get it right, even if that means 6 months of delays, than ship a product you're not proud of or ship a substandard product or whatever. And so I think that I've really had a reframing in my own mind of what delays mean now, having gone through so many of them in this space, both my own and then others, where it's like, it means you're trying to get it right in most cases. It's usually a sign of like integrity and honor and wanting to do right by the holders and whatever else. So yes, and I'll similarly say, like, the gin is ready now, so to speak, in the sense that it is bottled. People have seen videos of it. I posted some videos of it. The folks who came to our LA event a couple weeks ago, last week, whatever time is, we're the first to get to see the physical bottles and try the gin, which is so fun.
Nice.
But liquor laws are just very specific. So they'd been sitting in a warehouse in Washington. They needed to go to Los Angeles. They had to sit for like around 24 hours at a warehouse in Los Angeles legally because they were a distributor before they could go to Speakeasy, which is who can basically distribute it like around the country for us. And so it's like all these like random little rules that are so I was told it was shipping from Washington to Los Angeles this week with that 24-hour turnaround time, at which point it'll go down to San Diego where it needs to be to then get shipped out to holders. So like we should be like so close. It's just so wild. And of course every state has different laws, which is why there's geographic restrictions. Like we can't get it to all states. If you live in one of the states you can't get it to, we're going to do what we can to work around that in other ways, whatever. But it's just it's a saga.
But it's getting here. So how does it work? People burn the NFT and then...
It's not even going to be a burn. What will happen is you'll be able to keep the NFT forever, but you'll log onto the website, you'll redeem, and then there's a little bottle of gin in the bottom right-hand corner of your NFT, and once it's redeemed, it'll tip over. And so that'll be the sign that it's a redeemed bottle. So nobody's like buying the NFT, having to check the metadata about redemption. It's pretty obvious on the face of the NFT. And we're also, it looks, I guess I'll just say it. I think what we're going to do, we're subsidizing shipping costs. because I know that's like we want to try and make these super accessible. So but I think what we might do is like a 1 month redemption window where we subsidize the shipping costs to incentivize people to like claim early, because we don't want to just like have a warehouse sitting there full of bottles endlessly, you know, with people who aren't redeeming. So really incentivize folks to in that first month, and we'll put out a lot of media and stuff around it to get people to redeem, and then you know, keep the redemption window open for another few months or something, but without the subsidized shipping. And we're figuring out all those details, I guess. I don't know. My community's never a dick to me. Like, I feel like other projects can't say that kind of thing publicly without getting in trouble, but like nobody seems. People are so lovely. We both do. I think we have a good overlap, and we have really good people. Yours is
we're both very lucky.
Wonderful. We are very lucky. All right. Well, let's get into some other quick hit news items. This was a fun one that I didn't know. I didn't follow this, but you pointed this out to me, and you're in the UAE, I suppose, right? You're in Dubai. So Etihad Airlines, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is launching an NFT.
I think they've already launched an NFT. So it happened August 1st, so a couple days ago. They launched, and I don't know if this was their first NFT or a subsequent one, but basically they launched 300 NFTs that has like real value immediately. So
this is what was so striking to me.
These NFTs, I think the min price was like 0.13 ETH or thereabouts. I'm pretty sure they were on Polygon, as seemingly all the massive companies and corporations go to Polygon, which is great for them. In terms of utility, you sort of like, I think you immediately get like a status upgrade with the airlines to silver tier, which is, you know, not nothing. And then there's something where you can stake the NFT and reveal like and receive like airline miles, which I think is another just like this cool, like this is what NFTs can do. And when you get big companies involved, I just think there's so much more to explore in this realm, and it's just amazing to see. Like Etihad is a huge airline. It's like the official national airlines of the entire UAE, which is, you know, a pretty significant part of the world, especially these days. And so like they and the whole country are very much adopting blockchain technology and experimenting and trying new things. And like previously I'd heard other airlines trying things with NFTs as tickets, but it had, to what I remember, been like budget airlines in small countries where, to me, it was very cool that they were doing it, but I didn't see it having like this impact where other airlines or companies or countries even would look at me like, hey, maybe we should try that. Now with this, I'm like, I could see other, you know, airlines being inspired by it, or just even non-airline corporations being, you know, hey, maybe we can explore something like this and get additional users, fans, people on board. Because if I bought one of these, and I didn't, but I would like to, especially because I live there, I'd be way more likely to fly the airlines now and like buy a ticket with them, even if it's like $100 or $200 more than a competitor, because hey, and now I can get access to the lounge and things like that. So it's probably a big win for them as well.
Yeah. Well, you know, the fact that they issued 300 of them says to me this is probably a little bit still toe in the water, testing things out project. So where my mind goes first is like, I hope whatever they're trying to learn from this, they learn and they're pleased with. So that this is something they continue to invest in or double down in. And to your point, then I think it becomes all that much more likely that other airlines get involved. And not that you can have, you know, that there's a limit, right? You're not going to issue an unlimited number of tickets that give you this upgraded access, because that doesn't work. But 300 strikes me as quite small for this. So it feels like a toe in the water test. And so I just really hope it goes well. So buy one, Zen.
Yeah.
Support them so they do more of this. No.
I will. Honestly, I will.
Well, I think the staking to get airline miles is so interesting. That's a really cool concept to me. And I'm curious, some of the stuff with NFTs, I remember like back in the early days being like, this is so cool. Technically, does it really make sense from a business perspective? But this could, I mean, especially the royalty thing obviously being a challenge, but like there's a world where like, I don't know. I mean, it's a way to socially signal online. It's a way to, you know, get at least primary sales when you sell the initial thing. I don't know. I think it's really interesting. The art is fine. It's cool. It's pictures of planes that's like circulating plane images, and there's little designs on the planes, which is kind of cool. So I'll give them credit. They didn't like totally mess it up. Let's say that's always a win for a brand.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely put like thought and effort and a lot of intentionality into this. And I actually think the 300 is like, it's a good. It doesn't mean that they've gone all in, but it also means that they have put some thought into it, because I think a lot of projects come out and put like thousands and thousands out there, and especially in this market, 300 is like, a modest and good supply.
Yes, it actually suggests, to your point, that they actually probably have a sense of the market, which is even a maybe more bullish sign than anything. It's like, we understand that the market can't bear 10,000 of our NFTs right now in all likelihood. Yep, great point. Well, speaking of brands in the space, Nifty's, the marketplace or drop site, I don't even know what I would describe Nifty's as, that has partnered with a lot of major IP, announced that it will be shutting down. Nifty's was partnered, that they hosted the drop for The Matrix, for Game of Thrones, for, did they do Batman? They did Looney Tunes, I believe. I mean, a lot of WB content.
Rings, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I don't think they did Lord of the Rings, but it's possible. They did, they're connected to Palm, the Palm blockchain, which Warner Brothers has a stake in. So a lot of Warner Brothers drops was on Palm and Nifty's, and this isn't shocking, I don't think, probably to anybody. What's a shame, they did The Matrix. I don't know if I mentioned that. What's a shame is that they had some of the most iconic IP they got access to, and just consistently, and it's not necessarily Nifty's fault, right? They weren't necessarily the creatives behind these drops, but like, to the extent that they were involved in any sort of advising capacities, it was consistently projects that were just missed the boat. Yeah. I mean, if you guys remember the Game of Thrones, we actually have a funny series of little content promos coming out for the gin next week that I don't want to say too much about, but one of them is we talk about the Game of Thrones drop, and like going back and looking at that MFing art is, for folks who don't remember, the salad fingers, just like all the characters in Game of Thrones had these long ass fingers that like couldn't really hold their swords. It was so bad.
I still to this day, I did Twitter Spaces, more than one, with multiple of their team members, and they were all so excited about the art. And I'm like, I don't know what happened, where lines got crossed. Did they not see it? Did they see it? Was there willful ignorance? What happened?
Did they ever comment on it after the fact?
I just kind of blocked it out, and like I didn't really spend too much time looking into it. I don't know. Surely,
like, was it trying to make a statement? Was there some sort of intentionality? Because it just the weapons just like would sit in the middle of like were like floating. Go back, and folks who don't remember this, go back and look at these. Bad. It is crazy. So, anyways, I guess sad news for Nifty's, but I do think it shouldn't come as a huge surprise, because it hasn't necessarily fielded the most successful drops of all time. Also on the brand side, you had the Renga HAAS Brothers collaboration with F1 sell out, which I think is great. And also Dirty Robot, maybe on the less great side, Dirty Robot announced in their Discord that he is parting ways with the woman who has been the Renga CEO, Tails, over some creative differences, and Dirty Robot really just saying, like, it's time for me to take more control over my own destiny and my own art, and don't know the full story there, but good for somebody who's making, I guess, necessary changes within their organization.
We're seeing a lot of that lately, I think, where, entire companies are fully shutting down or downsizing or rejigging things up. It's just the necessities of this prolonged bear market, I think. And I generally think it's like a good thing to do, rather than drag it out and then have the entire company crumble and fall. And hopefully it was on good terms, and then everyone's all right with it.
Yeah. You had a piece, I haven't read it yet, sorry, but it's in my inbox waiting to be read, about being an entrepreneur. And I imagine you probably touched on that a little bit, of just like the ever-changing nature of it, having to navigate teams and markets and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it was lessons I've learned, like being a founder for like almost 2 years now, which is both a lot of time and like not that long in the grand scheme of being a founder of things. But I've learned so much and made so many mistakes. And I think it's true of so many people in this space. And
oh my gosh,
you can read all the books and look at what other people do as much as you want, but until you're in those shoes yourselves, it's just like, you got to make these mistakes. And now that I'm like a founder, I look around at all sorts of other projects as well, and I see things that, I'm like, oh yeah, that was me. I made that mistake in the past. And now it's kind of good to be able to be like, I've learned some stuff, but I'm just very conscious that there's so many other things that I know that I'm not yet great at, like, anyone learning new things in life. But yeah, I think it's especially tough for like Web3 NFT founders, just because of how
building in public.
building in public and how there's this community of like impossible expectations, and like it's just this really crazy thing to balance.
And there's no roadmap, right? You can't read a business case study book that really fully 100% applies to like your industry, right? Like we are making up the rules in real time in a way that if you're launching a beverage brand, like sure, every business has its own unique challenges and this and that, but like you could read 100 books on what it means to start a beverage brand and how that industry operates. And we don't have that in this space. And it really is a fundamental difference between trying to do it here and doing it anywhere else. Okay, a couple other quick bits of news that's just fun to mention. Nakamigos pumped a little bit. You had a little bump there on Nakamigos as they teased fall is coming. It was like a Pixel Wolf. I think, is it officially a Wolf game collab, or that's just the assumption?
Hell of a lot like a Wolf game Wolf in there. I didn't look too deeply into it, but I imagine there's some sort of collab with Wolf game going on. And they seem like similar-ish kind of projects.
Yeah, it definitely looks a lot like a Wolf game. You know, it's also interesting, like I wonder to what extent, we obviously still don't know who HIFO Labs are. HIFO, that's it? Which is behind Nakamigos. Like, who knows, like, for all we know, the freaking founding teams are the same. It's Beanie. It's all Beanie.
Beanie's all the way down.
Beanie came back for a minute. Is he still active? It was like he popped out of the dirt for a hot second.
He is not part of my Twitter experience.
Yeah. We won't go there. Okay, Beeple got a new punk.
That's cool.
Claims, I'm reading, sorry folks if you're watching me on YouTube and I keep looking down, claiming it's his first PFP ever, which is kind of cool. He got a clown punk. So, and then he made it, of course, a part of his everyday. So that's good fun. All right, the last quick hit that I want to talk about that'll lead us into a slightly bigger conversation is Adam Cochran put out a tweet thread suggesting that Worldcoin was like faking demand for its retina scans by its orbs by like paying basically marketing agencies to get like people to stand in line for the orb on like busy, high trafficked areas at high trafficked times. You and we talked about Worldcoin last week. You weren't here then, so we haven't really gotten your thoughts on Worldcoin, so I'd be curious on that. But let me just say this. So Adam claims he knows this because he talked to a friend or whatever who works for a marketing agency who said that this agency was asked to help find a space in a high traffic public setting and ensure there was vendor permitting and that you could have you hire these secret shoppers. Adam has a very like negative view of this, like, oh, what a bad look this is. And he says that's pretty disgusting. My view is like, I don't really care. Like, this is literally what brands do all the time, all day long, is fake demand for their product until they have real demand. And the reality is, like, if your product is not something that anybody wants, it'll never turn into real demand. You can't fake demand to real demand unless there is actually real demand. Yeah. So like they're not going to be able to bootstrap their way to 7 billion people, 8 billion people using this orb by like hiring some marketing agencies to fake demand. I don't really care that they're doing it at all. And I frankly don't know why it's super upsetting. Maybe you have a different view. That's mine, but we'd love to hear your take on this and then on Worldcoin broadly.
Yeah, I have a similar take to you on this. I don't think it's that big of a deal or that surprising if they're doing it. I know that there's like this differentiation between what Worldcoin themselves are doing and what the people who are trying to... Yeah, the orb operators, because I've seen like maybe a dozen different stories of like orb operators in different countries offering different incentives. Like they'll be like, if they're in a food court, scan your eye and we'll give you a food voucher to get this, or 1 in 100 people will get a free iPhone. Like there's all these incentives that people are creating to get people to scan their eyes, and so this to me just seems like another one of those types of things to... It's like marketing / advertising, which is always about persuasion, which is a whole other debate. Like, is that a good or bad thing in the world? And it is a thing that exists. Like, people will try and do things to sell things to you or to get you to do stuff.
It didn't Mario, whatever his Narfall or whatever, like, he would bought his Twitter spaces like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I get it. I get people can find it irritating and manipulative, but like, on the other hand, this is what people do.
World.
You know what I mean? Like, exactly. I don't know. So, I think there are definitely reasons to be reticent about Worldcoin. And we talked about some of them last week. I mean, I understand that people have privacy concerns. There's talk that they, they operated in a lot of like third world countries to get a lot of the initial data on retinas, and paid people very little, or like paid people in like AirPods and things in Africa and elsewhere to like there's things like that where you're like, oh, I feel like a little weird. It feels like the kind of exploitation of an underclass kind of a thing, especially strange for a company that's like mission is on UBI. It's like, well, why don't you just like pay people now? Like if your goal is like they're gonna get, I don't know. So I think there's legitimate reasons to be like, oh, like I don't know, I feel this is not really rank for me among the reasons that I'd be like, oh, I don't know, I feel a little funky about Worldcoin. Like, yeah, of course they're going to try and make it look like their shit is cool, and the point of having a long line for their orb in a high traffic area where there's a lot of people is to get people being like, oh, what is that? Like, it's just brand awareness. It's learn what the orb is. Like, to call this disgusting is to me like, I don't know. It feels like engagement farming. Like, you really have this much of a problem with it. Anyway, that's my stance. I think it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Adam has very strong views on a lot of things. And so it's very in character for him, I think. Not that he's wrong about everything. I think he has some really good takes on certain topics. He's very critical about, if he sees something that he thinks is an injustice in the world, he'll go very, very hard. So it's like, if he thinks it's wrong, it's like, it's going to be very wrong. Again, in my perspective. In terms of Worldcoin as a whole and what I think of it, I think it's still too soon for me to have like a really strong opinion from what I've researched and seen. It's not enough yet, but I'm actually hoping to spend a lot of tomorrow reading about it and then writing about it this week. I think that it's, in theory, a really cool idea to have a way to have a Sybil resistant blockchain or token where you can prove that all right, every single person who received the airdrop was a unique human, and perhaps reward / incentivize them for doing certain things, and then UBI gets involved. And especially if you look at the way the world is going with AI and all sorts of other innovations and inventions and things like that, it to me seems increasingly necessary that we will need something like that. And with the whole scanning of irises, I've heard mixed reports. I've heard a lot of reports that the information never leaves the device, and it's just like a hash code that gets verified, check that you haven't actually scanned before, and so you don't get the double airdrop. And how secure is that? And then who are we actually trusting, and can we trust them, and what if there's a breach and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think it's terrible. I think there's theoretically a lot of really exciting things about it, and I'm not yet ready to like just completely throw it out. Like I think a lot of people in crypto are immediately dismissive of it.
Yeah, no, I like it. We talked about this last week. The refrain that I repeated last week was, how much do you trust Sam Altman? That is basically what the future comes down to. It's like, do you trust Sam Altman? Literally the future wholesale, right? Like, it's like everything. So, but I would say, as you're doing your research, Bankless did an interview with Sam Altman and, gosh, what is his name? The actual CEO of Worldcoin, because Sam founded it, but is now much more behind the scenes. He's obviously quite busy with OpenAI, so he's really just more there as an advisor at this point. I'm totally blanking on the name of the guy who's running the company, but David Hoffman interviewed the two of them together, which I thought was a good place to get like a primer on some of this stuff and hear from them directly about. Obviously you're getting probably some level of propaganda because you're hearing from the company themselves, but I thought it was valuable, and I won't get too much more into it because I gave a lot of my thoughts last week, but I agree. I think it's a very valuable project to attempt. Whether or not they can succeed is a whole nother question. I've heard some very cynical takes from like the mainstream that feels like this is just another manipulative way for like A16Z to try and like get people into crypto to like buy their bags kind of a thing. Like they don't actually think anything like this will ever work or scale to a global level, but rather like it's really just like another attempt to get people to buy their shit coins. And I was like, that's a little too cynical for me, but okay.
Yeah.
Let me introduce you to a brand new company that I could not be more excited about. Web3 Sense, a Web3 analytics platform that combines on-chain data with social media insights to give you the deepest, most meaningful intelligence into any NFT community. I I have tested other analytics platforms out there, but Web3 Sense has the most comprehensive capabilities I've seen in the NFT ecosystem. They apply sophisticated data science to wallet histories to determine behavioral patterns and help shape predictive analytics. In other words, they can tell you which Twitter accounts are actually the influencers in your space. And they can tell you what resonates most within a community by looking at what other communities' token holders are involved in. The number of use cases here is virtually unlimited. So whether you're a trader, creator, institution, brand, agency, I promise Web3 Sense has data that you want to see with the deep and actionable insights that you need to build, analyze, grow, start, whatever you want to do within the NFT space and in terms of building a business and a community. Now, they are still in very early days, so they're eager to connect with the community. So if you're interested in learning more about what Web3 Sense can do for you and your business, and you should be, go and fill out the very short form linked to in the show notes, and someone from their team will reach out with more information and an opportunity for a product demo. Trust me, you won't regret it. Moving on to one of our bigger stories today, you can now buy CryptoDickbutts for the low price of 50 ETH. No, I'm kidding. But folks have probably seen this news. CryptoDickbutts announced their series 4, and along with that, they said, oh, and by the way, 30 days after this mints out, the person or the wallet that holds the most CryptoDickbutts, though there's some waiting that happens in that, will get access to the CryptoDickbutts Twitter, the multi-sig, the Discord, basically takes control of the project, which was a bold move. What do you think of that move, first of all? And then I have other questions.
When I first saw that, I was like, this is weird, because I wasn't actually sure, and I'm still not sure if they get access to like the entirety of the treasury as well. I don't think that they do. And so to me, it seemed like a weird move from whomever is currently in control of CryptoDickbutts to try and like extract some value and then palm the project off over to someone else. Why not just do it without doing an additional mint and just like say, hey, we'll give it to the community now. And that's been done with projects before. So there was just something a little off and icky-some to me about it, especially to me, because I think CryptoDickbutts has been such a organic, sort of decentralized type of thing, which it is still potentially going to be and trying to be. But it's like, this to me seemed like a weird move from them.
What's interesting is that I was reading what you get. And one of the things you get, if you win, however you want to phrase this, is the multi-sig treasury spot. And every time I read that, I was like, I don't really know what that means, but I kind of glossed over it. And so that's sort of what you're getting at. Like, I don't know what multi-sig treasury spot means. Does that mean the whole treasury
or
Yeah, I don't really understand. You're right. And so what you're saying is like, it almost feels a little bit like they're doing another mint because there's maybe a little bit of siphoning that's going to happen here is what you're clunking on.
That was where my cynical NFT mind goes to these days.
Yeah.
When it announces a new mint and something like this.
Very interesting. I didn't pick up on that. I didn't know, but that makes a lot of sense, frankly, because I did pick up on, I'm a little bit confused on what exactly all of this entails. To give people a little background, folks may or may not know this, but you have I was doing a little digging on the history of Dickbutts, which was, it's been a long-standing internet meme to a degree. It was first drawn by a cartoonist named Casey Green, I believe, in 2006. So it's got old origins. Nice. And then you had CryptoDickbutts, of course, come into the fore in, I think it was like March of 21, that sounds right. They ended up launching, and to the point you just made, I've always had this very core to crypto ethos and decentralization ethos. They have a DAO that was very involved in things. You had Steve Aoki there. You had a lot of big kind of crypto celebrities who were a part of CryptoDickbutts, where it was sort of a badge of honor because it felt like, again, it was speaking to the core of crypto culture. So this is an interesting move. I want to play a game, which is, if you owned CryptoDickbutts, what would you do? Noting that this game is kind of strange because CryptoDickbutts is CC0. They voted to make it CC0. The collective voted to make it CC0 at some point. And so you kind of do own CryptoDickbutts. Any of us could do a lot of things with this if we so chose, and presumably royalties are down to very little, if anything. And so, it's not like there's really a lot of ongoing revenue to be made here from these. But do you have any thoughts on what you would do if you owned CryptoDickbutts?
Yes. So when I can't remember if it was NFT NYC in 2022 or this year. I think it was 2022, last year. There were a whole bunch of events that the entire week, as there always is, but the CryptoDickbutts event, to me, was the one that looked the most incredible. And basically all I remember, so I wasn't there, but I just saw videos of it, and the entire event that I remember was like, there was this one, it was like either a mascot, CryptoDickbutt mascot, it was a person or an inflatable thing just like in the center of a circle and just like spinning around, and all these people in black cloaks just like bowing down with this like cultish omen music in the background. And I'm like, what the is happening? This is wild and awesome and nonsensical and exactly what the weirdness of this space.
This is correct.
About. Yeah. And so I would just do more of that kind of stuff and like just random, weird, cultish, memey, fun things.
I love it. That's a great answer. Yeah, and they had been, I don't know if it was around that time or what, but they'd had an arrangement at one point, I remember, with like a private jet company or something, where if you had like a series one, if you had like one of the OG CryptoDickbutts, you got like 15% off on like private jets, and they were talking about driving up private island around the same time. So they were trying to lean into that sort of like cult vibe where it's like, you know, you take a private jet to a private island to hang out with the fellow CryptoDickbutts. So that's a good answer. I went another way, which is I would make CryptoDickbutt lamps. I think I could see that being a really interesting novelty item. You know, I feel like some fraternity brother somewhere is like, you know, putting a CryptoDickbutt lamp in his dorm room. I think in honor of our friend David Horvath, who's all about plushies and getting your plushies. No, he doesn't say plushie. He says plush. Getting your plush in the right museum gift shop. I was thinking a CryptoDickbutt in the Museum of Sex gift shop here in New York. Oh, yes. I think the Museum of Sex gift shop is far too nice. Like that, I think that's actually I think it sounds like a good fit, and I think the Museum of Sex is actually like a much more posh place. But something like that. Here's one I'm really excited about. I want CryptoDickbutts CBD, so you can have CDB CBD, your own branded CryptoDickbutt CBD oil, you know, or it could be a whole line. It doesn't just have to be oil. I mean, there's lots you could do with your CDB CBD. And then the final one to really just round out our fraternity brother theme would be like a CBD koozie, like get a nice CryptoDickbutt koozie to hold your beer as you sit back in your lawn chair and your mullet.
You've put a lot of thought into this.
Maybe I need to buy CryptoDickbutts. Maybe that's what I do. Well, again, the funny thing is I could do any one of these things because this is a CC0 project, and nobody can stop me from. Although, again, the name, I don't know what the situation with the name is. Since Dickbutts exists, like I don't know, there's a world where that's sort of public domain at this point too. But I don't know. That's where you've got the trademark versus the copyright is. It's a whole different beast, which I now know all about because I got into NFTs and suddenly became a legal scholar, as this space does.
An IP, like, oh God, like 2 nights ago, it was from a UK IP lawyer, a US IP lawyer, and I'm like, it's 2 a.m. here in Thailand, and I'm like, how did my life get here?
How did this become what I do?
They're amazing, but but still, it's just, what is life? Yeah.
How did we end up here? Okay, the last thing I want to say on CryptoDickbutts is, have you been to their website?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, maybe
this website is great.
Yeah.
You go on this website. I believe it's just CryptoDickbutts.com, but please nobody go there and spend money because I could be wrong. And you know, it's one of these like immersive things where you have to use your like WASD keys and you kind of move through it, and you have to hit escape to like actually get out of it. But so you end up in this like kind of sparse but beautiful, ornate-ish room, and then you walk out this gate, and I think you're like first in like a dungeon. You like fall down and you're in a dungeon area, and you start getting attacked by like the Twitter checkmark icons, like the blue checks from Twitter back in the day when Twitter was a thing, you know? And then it had little feet, and they have like pots and pans, and they hit you with the pots and pans, and you have a gun. You just see like a hand with a gun, and your job is like shoot the Twitter check marks, and then they die. And you can explore this thing for a long time. So you're in this dungeon, and then you can come out of the dungeon, and then you're out in like a field, and then you can go into this church, and you're still, by the way, like killing Twitter checks. And then there's like a nice little ambient music. Oh, by the way, oh my God, what is the song that plays every time a Twitter checkmark comes near you? A certain song starts playing. So if they come near you from behind, you only know they're coming near you because this like pop song plays as they approach you. And then you go into this church, and in my case, and I'm sure this is probably consistent, when you leave the church, this like giant humanoid thing wearing Pudgy Penguin shorts that's 3-headed. It has Farouk's head is one of the heads. And then it's got like the dick butt head. And then who's the third head? Is it like Beeple? It's so strange. And then you have to shoot that thing down. And it was at that point that my fiance entered the room and I said, I swear I'm prepping for the recap episode today. And he was like, no, trust me, I believe you. Your work is so goddamn weird. Like, I totally accept that this is what you're doing professionally right now. Anyways, I didn't get further than that because at a certain point I really did have to get on with my life. But honestly, fire, flames, well done.
I mean, the cult.
The mimetic power of the crypto dick butt.
Yeah, I love them. I hope it goes to a good owner or like,
yes.
And I think it will. Like, yeah.
Well, this is the benefit of being such a ridiculous name that became iconic, like being ridiculous enough that you have become iconic, that you really are decentralized to a degree such that you're a little bit more inert from like owner who quote unquote is the owner. The Twitter, I was actually really surprised to see the Twitter account doesn't have that many followers. It's like 15,000 followers. I figured, maybe you're getting some, 100,000 plus account and that's a huge boon and somebody would want to pay a lot for that. But you're not even, not that 15,000 is anything to sneeze at, but it's also not like massive, which actually kind of surprises me. I would have thought that would have been a more popular account.
Maybe they just never lent heavily into the Twitter and it's such like a cultural meme. And it's also one of those things where if you know, but so many people just dismiss it as like, oh, it's some worthless scam grifter type thing but then if you actually dig into it, you're like, oh, there's actually all this history and culture behind it and this narrative and story, and look at the holders and look at the people, and like there's actual substance to it, which is the true of so many things in this world.
And the thing that ultimately breeds success, like the key to success is mimetic, fun, ridiculous talking point front end with like depth and meaning back end. I feel like is really the
that is a really good way of putting it. Yes.
Nail that. It's the perfect combo. Okay, moving on to some Yuga news. Yuga announced they are acquiring like Metaverse music content studio Roar Studios. Roar Studios is run and I believe founded by Eric Reed. He was one of the executives at Lakeshore Entertainment for 25 years or something. And Lakeshore did a lot of big movies. They did $1 Million Baby. They did Age of Adeline. I mean, I could go on and on. If you go to their website, you'll scroll through, you'll recognize, if you don't recognize the name of the movie, you'll recognize the cast. Let's just put it that way. So a lot of experience in entertainment and media. And he founded Roar Studios, I believe like 2 years ago. It looks like January 2021. Yeah. This was one of those things when I first saw this news, I was a little bit confused in like what specifically any of it meant. It's like one of those companies that feels like it uses a lot of like, it's like, we want to bring, it's the next wave of media online and music and community. And you're like, but like tangibly, what do you do? Like if tomorrow, like what do you do? And even in like the Yuga announcement, it's like, continue to build, it will be instrumental to helping us be the future of media and content. You're like, yeah, but what do you do?
How?
Say more words that mean something to me.
Yes.
What is your take?
Yeah, I mean, that was basically my exact take. I've seen the headlines, I've seen tweets, and I was like, oh, cool. Yuga doing more stuff, becoming bigger and beastier and acquiring but then music is like, they've done a lot in gaming and this is kind of new. That okay, cool. But I still don't know what they do or what it's going to actually mean. Yeah. So
I will give one take I had as I dug into this more. It's interesting because Eric, who is the CEO, who, by the way, as part of this acquisition, is going to become the GM of Other Side. So he's going to be heavily involved with leading the Other Side future, I suppose. He has this background in movies and film entertainment, but this was then a foray into music with Roar Studios, because while Roar, I think, is intending to be a lot of different kinds of content in the metaverse or digital content, they have primarily focused on music up to this point, and their website is very music focused. And it seems like the goal there was, how do you create like almost digital studios, like ways for people to collaborate on music, fans, music creators, producers, etc., digitally. And that's interesting. It reminded me of Herman Narula, who's, of course, the founder, CEO of Improbable, which is the company really building the tech for the other side Metaverse, his whole vision of the Metaverse is it's an extension of real world experiences that you bring into the digital. It's not like this totally new place that you go for. It's not. He doesn't even think of it so much in the gaming context, though I think that Roar, does think about gaming to an extent, but his whole thing is like, how do you extend real world experiences into the digital world? Which that's why a lot of their focus is on how do we get 10,000 people concurrently playing something on the same server, and then you upgrade that to 100,000, a million, whatever. But this idea of like collaborating on music in a digital forum in a way that's different than what kind of exists today. It felt like it had a similar ethos to that of, again, we're extending what you can do in the physical next to somebody in a music studio. Now, obviously what they're doing is a lot more than that and certainly more gamified than that. But again, that's where we get back to like, then I start going like, but what do you do? It does seem like there's been speculation and some reporting around like, and I guess I don't even know that it's speculative. I think maybe somebody on the Yuga team said this specifically, which is that they do have some AI they've built out as part of their tech stack that's proprietary to some degree or useful to some degree. That's been part of the impetus here was Yuga wanting to have that AI tech integration. Of course, they didn't speak to what that was with any level of detail, but I'm excited. I reached out to Eric Reed. I would love to have him on the show, honestly, and maybe find out what they do. That'd
be great. You can tell us then, yeah.
Get an understanding of what the company is. I will say I love their website. The Roar Studios website is cool. It like has it's vibey, and I love a vibey website, A couple other bits of Yuga news. You had a meetup. They had like 40 plus or so Yuga holders and other side holders got to come and preview some of the art for the other side, and I think also preview some Legends of Mara things.
Yeah, I think they were like playtesting as well, so they really got to be in the world, and it looked awesome.
It did look awesome. They did they put a nice video about it. So very cool. Trying to incorporate the holders into this, which is great, of course. And then you had day one of the trial for Ryder Rips and Yuga has finally started. Folks may remember, basically, there was a summary judgment that ruled in favor of Yuga, basically said, yes, Ryder Rips and team have violated their trademark on a number of different fronts and cyber squatting, and there was a number of places in which Yuga won, and the trial now is to determine, if I'm getting this right, like basically damages, because Yuga's asking for monetary damages. The judge said yes, they're entitled to them, but the exact parameters of that will be determined via this trial. So day one kicked off. Nothing that it seemed all very procedural. There's nothing I think that I would like really point to that I understood particularly well, but everyone knows that I feel like I'm more invested in this trial than like anybody else I know in terms of the space. Like the space seems to like kind of care about this. I really care about this, in part because I do think, I don't know, there's meat on this bone a little bit to me, and I think it's also a matter of like, I really hate people who are doing the wrong thing while loudly telling you that they're the ones who are doing the right thing. And that feels like exactly what Ryder is to me. I mean, this is why I'm also very fixated on the Prometheum stuff, because Aaron Kaplan is that to me. Like, I don't know, we haven't talked about this fully, Zeneca, you and I, but like, if you watch that debate with Aaron Kaplan of Prometheum, where it's like, he's literally like condescendingly and horrendously telling you like how right he is. And like how what he's doing is good for the space, and he's wrong. And there's something that just like, I don't know why that cuts to my core, but that's always how Ryder has felt. So very invested in seeing what the outcome of this trial is. So I'll definitely keep folks posted. All right, our final bit of news today before my conversation with Casey. DeGods Season 3 is launching on August 9th, and Frank is teasing all of the things. He is holding back not at all in terms of the hype here. Unsurprisingly, DeGods is pumping off the back of this news, and specifically I think off of the back of Frank's unbelievable hype. I think he was even asked like, are you worried that you're overhyping this? And he was just like, people are going to think it's dope. Like whatever he said, that was just like not stepping back from it at all or caveating it at all. What are your thoughts? What do you got any expectations around this?
Yeah, I mean, I am pretty what's the word? I haven't been paying as close attention to it as I should have been. Like I'm a holder of DeGods, and I know there's like an art upgrade coming, and I know that like the points are going to be used for something.
Yes.
And like Utes 2 is part of this as well as DeGods 3, but I don't know much more than that other than
I don't think there is all that much more. Like, they haven't released full details at this point yet. Like, they did say points are important, and they, I think, upgraded or made some tweaks to how points are acquired. So, like, for every minute you stake your DeGod, or I think the points are different for DeGods and Utes, but like every minute you stake your DeGod, you get 1 point. For every day you stake it, it's 1,400 points. Every month, like they have. So they tweeted something out saying points are important. you're not too late to start. The best day to start staking your, DeGod was whatever, the first day, the second best day is right now, or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. So we know that. I do think that there's going to be 40,000 plus like DeGods. So this is where maybe I need to have more information too, but they said something where it's like non-dilutive, right? So they're doing it in some way where they're making sure it's non-dilutive to existing holders. So it's like traits are pegged to existing DeGod traits. I don't know. There's going to be female DeGods. I'm excited about that. I know Frank, the art upgrade, he also said he felt like the existing art was a little too gory. So that was part of it as well, as like making it a little bit less gory, which I appreciate, because I agree, like DeGods never, I know some people love the art. I would love to have a DeGods, probably my number one project I would love to hold, but it's not art that totally speaks to me. So I'm excited to see the female DeGods, and maybe if they're a little less violent, it might speak to me a little bit more from an art perspective. I mean, I'm really excited to see what this is. He's saying this is like the next evolution in PFPs. I obviously respect the shit out of Frank. It's been delayed a number of times, which to me speaks to what they're trying to create. And he even said this. He went on Mark Coulter's podcast and said, like, we could have delivered something sooner that would have been everything we had promised, but it wasn't going to move the needle. And we really wanted to do something that moved the needle. And that was, I think, the justification he was giving for some of the delays. And he's just got that, it's so funny because it's not like I'm not young, but he's got that like uber young person energy of just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna grind until I make my mark on the universe kind of a thing. And
sleep on the couch, work 20-hour days all day long, all week long. I'm excited for it too. I think it'll be, I think when DeGods and they do things, it's like usually interesting and innovative, and it's like even if it doesn't land, even if it doesn't work, if it doesn't stick, it gets people talking and it gets people thinking, and it's always fun and exciting and interesting to see. So like I'm excited to see what it is.
Totally. When he's said that before, when I've talked to him, he said like, they think about the tweet first. They think about like and then they work backwards from there. I think Steve Jobs used to say he would like write the press release first. It was like he would work backwards from the press release, and this was like an iteration on that. You work backwards from the tweet. So like exactly, he will make a splash. Whatever it is, it will splash, and maybe people will FUD it or maybe people will love it. And I'm just excited for it either way. And he was, in some ways, I feel like the first project founder who I felt like called a spade, right? Who like came out there and was just like, yeah, people want the price to go up. And what I am doing is trying to make price go up, because that's what people care about, right? Like I'm not here to tell you I've got some like, and he does say he has a bigger vision, but he's like, I'm not here to tell you I'm building some like broader IP that's going to be the next Disney. I'm here to make price go up by doing splashy shit and making it feel cool. And it was like, yeah, let's be honest. And I felt like there was a period of time where the space was kind of trying to pretend we were better than that. Like it's not about floor price. Oh, it's not about like whatever. And it's like, to some extent that's true as well. And I think but like, I kind of just appreciated the blunt honesty of a guy coming in and just being like, trying to make you guys rich, like whatever.
And he's made a lot of people a lot of money. So like,
and he's done it in many ways. So very cool. All right, folks. And with that, it's time to hear my conversation with Casey Reas. We're going to talk generative art. We're going to talk about his new upcoming drop. Generative art, as Zeneca has been right about many times, is the one thing that seems to some degree at least, hold its value no matter what the market does. It is I would call it the only proven use case at this point. In some ways, art. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, correct. It doesn't have to just be generative art. And so really excited to dive in with Casey. And with that, have a good weekend, folks.
Bye.
Casey, welcome to Overpriced JPEGs.
Hello. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you on because I think art is such a clearly powerful and established use case for NFTs at this point. And I don't think you can necessarily say that for everything else in this space, where I think there's still a lot of, in some ways, figuring out what the use cases are. So you've been a generative artist and I guess working with code to make art for a long time now. And I'm excited, would love to hear a little bit more about how you first got into that and maybe what at the core really inspires your work.
Awesome. Yeah, artists have been working with code. Generative art has been a thing for over 60 years now. It's a really long history. But until very recently, I would say it was a obscure history. It was very like a niche thing. NFTs have really exploded that open. I think there's more people now interested in it than ever before, more opportunity for artists working with code than ever before. When I started doing this work over 20 years ago, it was a very unknown history, and I learned about it, in bits and pieces over the years. But the idea is that instead of working with a camera, instead of working with paint or pencils, I'm an artist who works with code. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of people like me all around the world, and it's sort of it's still an emerging art form, even though the history goes back such a long time.
Could you sum up what tends to inspire your work most? Is it nature? Is it people? Is it abstract ideas? Is it the code itself?
It is a lot of things. It's a lot of things always kind of smushed together for almost every project. In the early days, like in the 1990s, I was really inspired by artificial life. This idea of like AI, artificial intelligence, is simulating the mind, artificial life is simulating behavior. And so there's this one specific book written by Valentino Breitenberg, who was a neuroanatomist, called Vehicles, which was about these simulations of neural systems. And so I started writing code to draw with those. I had these ideas for drawings that I wanted to create that I just couldn't do by hand. And so I started writing code to make these drawings. That was really the origin for me. But over time, I've explored a lot of different ideas. I'm very interested in conceptual art. I'm very interested in abstraction. I'm very interested in those as ways of thinking and ways of like imagining new worlds and new environments. And so that's what I've been pursuing for this time.
And your upcoming project is 923 Empty Rooms, which you're doing with Art Blocks. Comes out August 14th. Do I have that right?
It is. It's going to be 6 days in 6 different cities, starting in Tokyo, going to Berlin, London, New York, Mexico City, and then ending in Los Angeles.
So explain what that means. I think it's minting for 6 days. Is that how it's working? And then explain how the geography plays in here. I believe it's a Bright Moments collab.
Certainly, yes. It's a collaboration with Bright Moments and Art Blocks. And Bright Moments has been moving around the world over the last couple years and establishing different sub-DAOs in different cities, different galleries. And so those are the 6 cities that they started in Los Angeles, and those are the other 5 cities that they've been to so far, like having these extraordinary weeks of releasing new art and building community in these different locations. And so as a collaboration with Bright Moments, we're focusing on those 6 cities. And of the 923 empty rooms, which is 923 NFTs, we'll be releasing 154 each day in each city.
And so when you say you're releasing them in that city, is that like the live minting experience that folks may be familiar with Bright Moments?
Bright Moments is all about live minting, but this project is going to be minted through Art Blocks, so it's not going to be live minting, but the mints will be revealed live in those different spaces. Okay. And we'll have a camera feed in each space, and so you'll be able to see each space fill over the 6 days.
So I think that's what I'd read is at 9 a.m. starting August 14th. This runs over 6 days at 9 a.m. Pacific time. A Dutch auction begins for each of these works, and then once the auction is done, you'll have a reveal, and the art will be displayed in one of the 6 particular galleries. And I think I saw that it's connected to color. So depending on it'll show up in a different gallery depending on which colorway the particular mint is for that day. Do I have that about right?
That is totally right. Like each city has its own, I call them Colorforms, which is after the French-Hungarian artist Victor Vasarely. So it's basically a color and a shape put together. And each empty room is a simulation of a still life. And so what a simulation of a still life means is like with software, with code, with computers, nothing is really real and tangible in the same way, or it's different. It's all data-based, it's all simulation-based. And so this work, 923 Empty Rooms, is largely about the history of representation in visual art. And the idea here is instead of, setting up some flowers or a skull or something to draw and render a still life from, these are completely simulated digital abstract still life. And they're all made of different combinations of these different color forms. So for example, the color form for Tokyo is an orange circle. The color form for Mexico City is a green triangle. And so these are all put together in different ways and then abstracted. And that's what the visual representation of each piece is.
And I believe there's a connection to this work and this series that you're doing now to something that exhibited at LACMA in their recent digital art exhibition. I know they did a real celebration of digital art and algorithm and art, and a number of artists were featured there, including your work. What is the tie between the work that was at LACMA and this upcoming series?
Absolutely. So that show at LACMA, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, was called Coded, and it covered computer-based art, which was the older name for it. Now we say generative art. They're a little different things, but from 1952 to 1982. And so I received a commission for that show to think about that context, and I produced a work called An Empty Room, which was basically a 3-channel projection in LACMA that was up for many months in relationship to the Coded show. And so 923 Empty Rooms is an extrapolation of that, like a further pursuit of those ideas. And those ideas were really built on top of Victor Vassarelli's work, who was an artist in the show, who had done an original proposal for LACMA in the late 1960s about how to build this color light machine that was capable of generating different kinds of color forms and paintings. And so 923 Rooms extrapolates from that, and it is the reason number 923, it's all the combinations, all the permutations of those different shapes together.
And so you're a professor at UCLA, and you actually teach generative art. Would you say generative art is what you teach? How would you describe what you teach at UCLA?
It's more general and broad than that, but yeah, that I do teach that. And I teach upper division like classes specifically on generative art.
And have you seen a surge in interest since NFTs became more popular, or just the digital world has flourished further? Like, what has been the trajectory of interest in the coursework at UCLA?
I don't know. It's really not a good answer, but I haven't seen like a huge surge of interest. But there's always been interest at UCLA for this domain and these topics. I think one thing that we can do at the university is really bridge different disciplines. And so processing, the programming language that I co-founded, that all of my work is made with, was founded at the MIT Media Lab in the early 2000s. And that was based on research we've been doing in a research group there called the Aesthetics and Computation Group that was led by John Maeda. And at that time, the idea was, let's bring these really extraordinary, powerful ideas of coding and software into the visual arts. I don't think of coding as a technical discipline. I think of it as a conceptual discipline. It's a way of thinking. And so the idea here is, let's bring these amazing ideas into art, and let's also make it more possible for people who are coders, who are engineers, to make visual experiences. So it's really about bridging these two worlds. And so my work as an artist is also about building those bridges too.
I appreciate your honesty there. Like, I don't know. Do you what do you make of the rise in digital art, generative art at Christie's and Sotheby's? Is this like positive for the space, or are you like of the mind that, I don't know, screw the galleries, I suppose? Not that you can say that, I guess.
Yeah, no, I believe we need to make our own institutions. We need to make a new culture. We need to support new collectors. I'm really excited about those things. At the same time, I believe making bridges to established institutions is really important. Like in my role as a co-founder of Ferrophile, which is a digital art gallery, everything is minted as an NFT there. We've made bridges to the Museum of Modern Art in New York. We've co-run shows with them. We've made co-run a show with the Albright Knox Museum in Buffalo, New York. I'm very excited about the future of generative art and establishing it within these institutions, as well as making our own culture too. I think we can do both.
Awesome. Well, Casey, thank you so much for joining me. August 14th, the upcoming Art Blocks drop. It'll start at 9 a.m. Pacific time, August 14th. And if you're in one of the cities like I am, where there is a Bright Moments gallery, you go figure out which day the art is revealing and go check it out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's so good to talk.
Yes. Thank you, Casey. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Overpriced JPEGs. If you liked this conversation, if you liked this episode, please go ahead and hit subscribe. It helps me out, it helps the show out, and it means you will get alerts and updates when we post new content. Thanks again.